Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of NC-17. I'm going to say this is probably going to be one of my favorite episodes. I mean, all my episodes are my favorite, but we have with us today a legend in the industry, at least in my eyes, and I'm pretty sure in other people's eyes. This man has over 50 credits to his name. Rick Jermain, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Uh,
It's cool.
Thank you for coming on, my friend. Uh, so before we get into your filmography, and trust me, it's an extensive one. What got you into the industry, and was it something you thought about doing even as a child?
It's weird. So, yes, even as a kid, very early as a kid, I thought I wanted to be an actor. Um, and then something clicked around the time the Monkees came out, and I decided I wanted to be a musician. So, I kind of pursued that path, and I moved out to California, and I lived out there for 20 years trying to be a rock star. Never once, like, auditioned for anything, like, acting wise. Never even crossed my mind. Um, anyway, eventually I worked my way back to Baltimore for whatever reasons, and somebody hits me up on Facebook saying they got a movie and I would be perfect for the bad guy, and so this went on for a while. There was a lot of discussions and stuff. Anyway, in the end, it turned out to be complete garbage. I mean, it wasn't true. Like the movie didn't exist. She talked about connections and all that, and she didn't have any of those connections. And
Uh,
you know, I won't get into the whole story, but anyway, it turned out to be complete nonsense. Um, but I was so excited about maybe doing a movie that I was like, all right, I'm just going to audition for some shit and see what happens.
oh
And
yeah,
so, yeah, about 10 years ago, I auditioned for a bunch of things. One of the first things I got to do was Brad Twigg's MILFs versus Zombies.
excellent movie.
I saw not even a casting notice, just a mention that it was in the works, and I just emailed him and said, "Dude, I just want to be in the movie because of the name. Can I be in your movie, please?" Like, yeah, man, come on. So I've since done. I don't even know how many Brad Twig movies. I'm gonna say probably 10, maybe at this point, something like that,
Uh, oh
somewhere
yeah,
around 10, 7 to 10.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mills
and still
vs
going.
Zombies. Oh yeah, Mills vs Zombies. So funny thing, I was at the store, the video store, the only video store that I know had this movie, and I'm like, I'll rent it, see what it is. And when I rented it, I was like, I love zombies. And halfway through the movie, I took it back and went to the store, couldn't find it for sale, so I ordered it online.
Really
Yeah,
awesome.
so I was like, this was a good movie.
How long ago was that? Did you get the remastered version? Because he remastered it like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, this was like right when it first came out.
Okay.
Yeah. Uh I watched all the way up to the Ophelia Rain scene, and then I was like, yep, I'm gonna go buy this movie.
Oh, you got okay. So you got one of those that
Yeah,
with the Ophelia scene in it, because there's a bunch that don't have that. Like if you try to buy it in, like, I think it was in Walmart for a while, and I know that didn't have it in the
yeah,
Walmart version.
oh
So
yeah,
yeah, so you got the real McCoy.
yes. uh so with having so many credits to your name, is there a certain subgenre of the horror genre that would be your favorite?
I like I like stuff that involves, makeup and special effects, and I like being a part of that. I don't mind getting covered in grossness, and like I it's just fun. I love creating that kind of stuff. So those are kind of my favorite. As far as roles to do, um, I don't know. God, there's so many subgenres at this point. It's kind of crazy. In fact, one of the things we do with the 48-hour project that I sent you is it's split up into. Have you ever heard of that?
Uh,
They split it up into genres. You get a genre Friday night. You get a character. You get um, a prop and a line of dialogue, and all of that must appear in your film. And you've got literally 48 hours to write, shoot, edit, and get it
dang.
uploaded. And so, yeah, and they break that down into a whole bunch of different subcategories. They do a special horror slash sci-fi one where they break it all down. So like, we've done Mutation was one of them, and that was really fun because we got to play around with special effects, which is that's my love. That's when I was a little kid watching movies, and I knew that all the monsters I was looking at were makeup and stuff. I was like, oh, this is fascinating. I want to be a part of this stuff. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, those are probably my favorite.
Oh, yeah. Also, with acting, you do producing and uh, you're a drummer. I mean, like all that. Like, does it all combine together on some projects, or is it just some projects you like to just act in, produce, and maybe do some music for?
Yeah, I usually tend to focus on one job on a specific project, but if it needs, and I usually like that job to be acting. Um, but if it needs other things like, music, I've got a lot of experience mixing music. I've got a lot of experience recording things, so I can do sound stuff. Um, I can do editing. The thing I sent you earlier today, I'm now learning how to do digital effects on stuff. So all the glowy eyes and the flames and all that shit, that was all post digital effects. So yeah, I like to create. I like to know how it's done and at least get my hands in it a little bit, and kind of gives me an idea of what it's capable of, and you know yeah, yeah. I get my hands in everywhere I can when I'm
Uh,
shooting film, but I do try to concentrate on one thing. Serious profession. Um, I did the I didn't do the score on that. I've never done a score on a movie, but I did like the final mix of the music and the dialogue and the sound effects and all that kind of stuff. Um, uh, yeah, so I tend to stay with the acting stuff, but I got a lot of friends in the biz, and they need stuff like sound mixing, and so I've mixed a few movies at this point, and hell, Killer. You said you saw Killer Campout, the original
yeah.
Killer Campout. Okay, so a little bit of trivia about that. I would say 75%, if not more, of the dialogue in that movie was recorded in my studio because the sound on set was just so bad that it was unusable. I mean, it was you know lawnmowers and tractors and stuff starting up, and cell phones beeping, and bugs hitting cameras, and I mean hitting microphones. And yeah, so we brought all the actors into my studio and ADR'd pretty much everybody in my studio. And it paid off because the movie is kind of a throwback to the 80s video stuff where they ADR'd really badly all the time. And so even the bits where you can kind of see it's a little out of sync kind of works with what it's supposed to be. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I'm a big fan of that one.
Oh yeah. Uh, let's talk about some of the people you've worked with. The first
Uh-oh.
ones that come to mind would be Drew Fortier, Sasha Graham, James Edwards, people I've spoken to on the show and stuff. So what was your first interactions with all of them?
So James, I met on Killer Campout. He played a bounty hunter, and he played the bounty hunter, and I played the sheriff. So we met on that, and we got along great. Even talked about possibly doing a bounty hunter and sheriff, kind of buddy cop film at some point, horror film of the two characters.
Oh yeah.
We never got around to that, but that's when James and I met, and then since then he called me about Krista. He was like, "No, you're who I'm picturing doing Chris, playing what was his name, Blaze,
Yeah.
playing Blaze," and I was like, "Dude, I'm in." So yeah, anytime James wants me to play anything and anything, I'll come and do it.
Oh yeah.
And then Sasha and um, what was the other name you mentioned?
Drew Fortier.
Drew. So I met them through the same thing, through James, through Lonnie, and yeah, I mean, just had a great time. Just filmed some bits for something that Drew is working on. I don't know if I can say the name of it. I don't know if I can actually even remember the actual name of it.
Uh,
Anyway, but I just worked with him recently, and he's always a blast. I like Drew a lot.
oh
He's,
yeah.
and Ash, Sasha too. We trivia, like yeah, that was really really super fun to play. The whole cast and crew out on the Ohio films, as I call them, um, they're always fun. Everybody seems to get along really well and know what their jobs are and does them well, and you know what I mean.
Oh
So
yeah.
I love going out there. I have no problem with that.
Oh yeah. What would you say would be your favorite part of acting?
When I can really sort of get lost in it, you know, when there's enough there on a character where I can really like channel that character and sort of live in that body for a little bit, you know.
Uh,
I mean, I think with all actors, all of your characters are a little bit of you in some way. They kind of have to be, right? You can't really get around that. But every once in a while, I'll get something where I'll just channel this other part of me that's just it's not me. I mean, okay, I play a lot of psychopaths, so I'm not, and I'm not really a psychopath, and I'm not really a murderer, um, and I'm not really an inbred hillbilly. I don't think. I'm pretty sure I'm not. Um, but you know what I mean. So I like that. I like one of the first ones I got to do was the Mills versus Zombies, and I got to put on a southern accent and just ham it up. And Brad just loved the hamming it up, so he was like, "Yeah, man, go, 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 keep going, keep going." Um, and that was a blast, and that was pretty much my first real experience in front of the camera. So I just kind of fell in love with it at that point. Yeah, it's
uh, uh, let's talk about Night of the Axe. Now you're in it briefly.
yeah,
Uh, I like the way you kind of just your one dialogue that you have is just on point. Like you just like, oh Martha, I get it, but
yeah. I remember yelling a lot at the wife. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember yelling that my whole bit was she was nagging me. What was she nagging me to do?
take out the trash.
Or take out the trash, right? Because that's where my head ends up. Uh, uh, yeah, that was super fun. I'm not sure how I got involved with that. I knew Nate, the guy that played the killer.
Yeah.
I knew Nate from a project that we did pretty early in my acting career. So 8 years ago, maybe, or 9 years ago, maybe, called Shotgun Mythos, which was this really expansive multi-episode um, sort of supernatural soap opera kind of thing. Um, Detective show. I don't know, whatever, something like that. And so I've known Nate for a long time, and but I did not know that he was in that movie. So that wasn't my connection to that. I got on set and I was like, Nate, what are you doing? Um, I'm not sure how I got involved with that. I don't remember where the connection was. I know that's the first time I met Sean, and it was the first time I met Angel Bradford. You know who she is?
Yep.
Actress and also really talented makeup. Really does really good makeup.
All right.
Yeah, that was the production that I met her on too.
All right. I would. I've never been in a movie. Never directed a movie. Never. I've may have dabbled in writing a movie. Never did nothing else. But I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that to be in the industry, especially to be on the independent scene, you have to kind of have your hand in multiple different hats.
It helps. I mean, if it depends. If your desire is to make movies, then yeah, then I would say absolutely get your hands in everything, learn as much as you can about everybody's department. Um, But if your goal is I just want to act, then I don't know, how much that helps. It definitely helps, like as an actor. It definitely helps to understand the camera and where your light is and where your focus is, right? Because if it's a shallow depth of field, you've got to stay within this, or you're going out of focus, right? So you have
Right.
to know that. But usually they'll tell you that. They'll lean in. You don't you don't have to figure it out yourself. But
Uh,
it is good to kind of understand what everybody's working with and how they're working with it and what they're trying to accomplish with it. So,
uh,
uh, yeah.
uh, Wrestle Massacre. So I've seen it.
Bringing
Again,
up the hits.
uh, so I follow horror movies pretty much in general, just because I love horror, but I also
Oh,
follow wrestling. So it's
uh-huh.
like
Oh man,
both of them together. There was certain reasons why at first I watched the movie. I don't want to go into detail because that would be embarrassing.
oh no, now you have to.
Well, I'll just say Nadia White.
Okay, there you go. It's a good reason. She's
uh,
perfectly healthy reason.
oh yeah, but after watching the entire movie, it's like, damn it, now I gotta go out and buy this one. You know, and I actually don't own it. It's hard to find. I can't find it.
Really?
Yeah, but I can stream it, so I still have it.
There you
uh,
go.
you played Mr. Hughes?
Was that my name?
No, Mr. Hogan. Sorry.
Hogan. That's what I thought because I grew the Hulk Hogan stash for
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah.
Uh, how was it playing that character?
Hmm. You know what? To be honest with you, I don't remember a lot about filming that film. So, and here's the thing. Um, Not too long after filming those, um, I had a heart attack and some mini strokes and stuff.
Oh,
Um, while on stage, one of them was while playing a gig, and it kind of wiped out some memory
yeah,
of the stuff, like kind of right leading up to it, right before it.
yeah.
So yeah, it's really spotty. I remember working with Chris, and I remember Chris cracking me up because he always cracks me up. But I mean, he was just relentlessly funny. Um, and that's really, I don't have a lot of memories of making that movie. Yeah,
I, I completely understand.
which is cool though, because when I watch it, it's like a new movie.
Oh yeah. uh, Bloody Summer Camp.
Bloody Summer Camp. Now that I remember. That was good.
Uh, so me and my wife, we try to do movie night once a week. She'll choose her Disney one week, and then I'll choose my horror one week. Uh, well, she chooses all that girly stuff, but nothing wrong with that. That's just her.
You've seen the Disney horror film, right?
Yes.
The one filmed at Disneyland. The
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So Bloody Summer Camp. What can you tell us about that movie? Now I've seen it.
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. But was there any kind of shenanigans going on behind the scenes with that movie, or just in general?
Um, well, shenanigans. I mean, how do you want to define shenanigans? That's a pretty broad word, my friend.
That's true.
So that was my first time working with Dave Kerr and his whole crew down there. Michael McGlynn, and that's where I met Shonda for the first time. Shonda Rawlings for the first time. Kay Leahy. Um, yeah, so it was my first time with a lot of those guys, and so I was on for, I think I was there for like 3 days, right? So I wasn't really there long enough to get in a whole lot of trouble or witness a whole lot of trouble. In fact, I think it might have even been just 2 days. It might have been one overnight. And but yeah, we had a really great time filming that. And I mean, we were filming. It's awesome when you can film in a real camp, and you have all the things that a camp has is just right there. can't remember the name of the campground, but they were real really accommodating, to us because we literally had run of the place for however long they were shooting, and I think they were shooting there for at least a couple of weeks. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then I've since done a few more things with those guys. We just released we just had a showing of the Slasher Nurse at the Alamo Draft House in Westminster, and two. I think the second show it was either nearly sold out or it sold out. So I'm going to call it two sold out shows.
All right.
And
That
then,
also Slasher Nurse also has Felissa Rose, right?
yes, yes,
I actually had the privilege of meeting her, and she's like a bucket list meet for me.
yeah,
Yeah, I known her work since Sleepaway Camp when I was like 5.
okay,
So I've been a fan of hers for a while.
yeah.
Uh,
She's awesome.
oh yeah,
She is just one of the sweetest people in person. Like she really is.
oh yeah. She's definitely about the fans.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She works that convention circuit. I mean,
Oh
she
yeah.
is out there. Like, and man, God love her. I think that's cool.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's awesome. I have a fan base. Like, I can't imagine how many times she's been asked to do the look and the and, the face.
Oh yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I've seen it enough, so I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's a blast. Her and
Uh,
got to work with her, and I got to play Dave Sheridan's sidekick, his deputy in Bloody Summer Camp, and that was a blast. Now that was shenanigans because Dave would never kind of say the same line twice, and I am first of all, I find a lot of things funny, and if I find it funny and it makes me laugh, there's no stopping. I can't not. I'm really bad at that. So, God, he was screwing with me so hard. He would just say it every time, and I would just be like, "Come on, just twice the same," and I won't laugh the second time. What's wrong? Give me two. Nah, he wouldn't do it. So it was everything I could do to not just burst out laughing a bunch of times. I mean, he was constant. It was pretty fun.
oh yeah.
It was hard though. I gotta say, it was hard on me. I didn't realize how easy it was for me to break until making that movie, and he was killing me.
Oh
So,
yeah.
you know,
Let's talk about Edgar from Shriek Show.
Edgar from Shriek Show. Okay, Edgar
Uh,
from.
what kind of went into that? What was your mindset going into that character?
So honestly, he was described to me as just a much darker version of Uncle Walt from from MILFs, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So um, again, I was kind of in and out on that shoot, um, but I got to meet a lot of cool people. I got to meet Diana Norris for the first time on that shoot, and her and I have remained friends since then. Um, we shot that. My the stuff I shot was mostly in the woods, which is not my favorite thing to do in the summertime, especially when no one knows how to identify poison ivy. Like what's going on? I think it might be. Maybe don't sit there. Uh, but yeah, that was there's all of them kind of blur together for me. But I know that working with Brad and Daniel Daniel Brooks on camera, um, and all his regulars that he has for cast and crew. Uh, it's just we always have a blast. I never regret doing it. Things always go wrong, like they do on every set, but I don't know. There's something about that makes them better, so I don't mind so
Uh,
much. Yeah,
oh yeah.
I don't know. Somehow the struggle brings out the creativity. You know.
Yeah. uh, so let's talk Killer Campout 1 and 2. Uh, would you say overall with that character from part 1 to part 2, would you say that was you satisfied with the outcome of your character from beginning to end?
Yes. Yes. And we don't know that it's over for Sheriff
That's
Parks.
true.
Some stuff happened, but we're not sure he's dead yet. He might be though. But no, I got to say, at the end of when we finished filming Killer Camp Out 1, one of the first things I said to Brad was, look, we didn't see Parks die. True, he got his throat ripped out, but we didn't actually see him die. And I want to come back and have a voice box. So
Oh, yeah.
that was my idea from the beginning, and he made it happen. I was like, dude, I love you. Yeah, that
Uh,
was a blast. But I liked my part in two. I was a lot darker in two. Um, in part one, I spend a good amount of the movie kind of being a normal guy. It takes a while before you figure out who I am. In two, though, I'm just from the beginning. From the minute you see me, I'm just this piece of work.
oh yeah.
I am the law.
the, I
It's
mean, it was
uh,
awesome. Oh yeah, it was awesome to see the progression of the character because, like you said, at the end, you're like, I thought we're not going to see him no more. And then in part two, when you just popped up out of nowhere, I was like, "There's my fucking boy right there."
yeah, I love the reveal. The reveal is great, and I've had people comment about it to me. Like, oh my god, that was so cool. So I really love that.
Oh yeah.
I like that people like the character and are happy to see him pop up again. That's just kind of nice.
Oh yeah. Uh, so we'll leave that with a question mark because, like you said, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I really don't. I have no idea what's up with Parks. I've made my suggestions of what we can do with it, but that's up to Brad. Whatever he wants to do, and I'm down. But we haven't seen him die, and I think that's a critical point.
Oh yeah. Let's go into trivial a little bit.
Right.
So you play Randy Durden.
That's right.
Uh, you play. All right. So I've said this to James. I said it to Sasha when I've had them on the show. Everyone's like, these guys are the victims, and I kind of looked at it in a different manner as like she was a victim, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
but not of those guys.
right.
I mean,
But
she was lashing out at them, but they didn't. I didn't do. Me personally, I didn't do anything to her. I think Lonnie's character might have done something
yeah.
specific related to her, right? Like,
Yep.
yeah, he hurt her on purpose, right? So he deserved it.
Yeah.
Me, I was just some random guy.
Oh yeah. So I've come accustomed, like I've seen pretty much the movies that James has put out, and you've been in all of them. You were in Dwellers, which is a Drew 48's movie. But with Trivial, to me, your character in there kind of seemed more along the lines of, and correct me if I'm wrong. We got about 9 minutes left. To me, your character seemed more along the lines of just a innocent bystander.
Yeah, I mean, he had his problems, but and he's done some things that are kind of questionable, but still, he didn't deserve to be there. Going through that, like you
Uh,
know, like yeah, okay, he had some. I think what was it? He had like some troubles with his wife,
yeah,
um, but he didn't like try to kill her, did he? Or did
no,
he? I don't remember, to be honest with you. He might have. I don't remember.
I don't
Uh,
want to ruin it for nobody, but
yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
I
See what I
will
mean?
say,
I can go back and watch these movies, and it's great because I don't really know what's going to happen.
oh, yeah. uh, I will say though, like every time you're on screen, to me and my wife, she's seen some of your movies that she can actually sit through because, like I said, she's a scaredy cat. The movies we've seen you in, every scene you're in is like you take full advantage of it and kind of like not saying you demand the screen, but you demand the screen. Does that make sense?
I I I appreciate the sentiment for sure, and I understand the feeling. There's definitely certain actors that I watch, and it doesn't matter if they're the main person in the scene. I'm watching what they're doing because they're just a recent example is what's his name? Jesse Plemons. Do you know who that is? He was on
I
Breaking Bad, and he was on.
Yes,
He's in Civil War, and he's married
yes.
to Kirsten Dunst.
Oh yeah.
That dude, I don't know what it is about him, but I cannot stop watching him when he's on screen, and it's just the way he just. I don't know what it is about him, but you have to keep watching him. Um, there's a few. I could probably name 10 actors if I sat here and thought about it that I'm like that with. That
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're in the movie, that's all my eyes are focused on for some reason. They just draw my attention. So that's cool. I like hearing that my screen presence has that effect on somebody because that's awesome.
So we got about 7 minutes left. Uh, did you want to take a couple minutes and just say, like if people are trying to get into the, I tell everybody they can say if they want to say something about people trying to become a director, actor, writer. Is there anything you would say out to them?
Um, find the communities online. There's a bunch of them on Facebook and all the different social media. Uh, find your people. There's people out there that are at your same level. There's people out there that are just a little bit past your level and can tell you how to get to their level. Um, yeah, man. The one thing I've learned is networking is key. Who you know is very important, um, especially if you want to stay up to date on what's happening and not have to wait like for a casting call to come out. It's nice to know that, oh yeah, my buddy's making this movie in a couple of months and he hasn't even tried to cast it yet, right? Like that's a nice place to be. Um, there's a lot of groups where people get together and film each other. If you want to be a director, I highly recommend putting together a team for the 48-hour project and doing some of those because man, that is being a director on coke because you've got to get everything done fast and like that's it or you fail.
Oh yeah.
48 hours, make it happen, and it's amazing what you can do in 48 hours. Like, and it's kind of a real world situation just condensed. If you're directing movies, well, generally there are requirements coming from above that you have to have in your movies, and there's a time schedule that you've got to get this movie done because we've already got a release date, right, which is 2 days from now.
Oh yeah.
Right, so it's all the same problems just crunched into like 48 hours, right?
Oh yeah.
uh, it's an amazing experience, and you'll learn so much about filmmaking and being efficient about your filmmaking. And yeah, I recommend that to everybody that no matter what part of the uh, industry you want to get into, yeah, make some 48s. You'll either learn to just love it or you'll hate it so much, and then you'll know that you probably shouldn't be in the film business.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, that would be my biggest advice.
All right. Did you want to take some time out to plug anything or plug your socials or anything? You feel free to do that.
So currently we have Serious Profession, which is a non-horror movie that I did with Matt Anderson, who you had on. I'm not sure when you had him on, but I just watched your podcast with him. Um, that is currently seeking distribution, so we're hoping that'll get out pretty soon. Krakoon is out there on all the major, streamers, not Netflix, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Bloody Summer Camp is out there. I think Bloody Summer Camp 2 is out there on the streamers now. Slasher Nurse will be coming soon. We just had a showing for that, and I think all the backers for Slasher Nurse, and don't quote me because I'm not in control of any of this, but I think the DVDs and stuff that everybody's expecting from that will be going out soon. Um, what else? What else? Yeah, I think that's about it. There's not too much that I can talk about.
All
I'm thinking of what I can mention.
right. It's
But yeah, man, lots of cool stuff coming up from both Fuzzy Monkey, from Slasher 15. Um, T13's got some cool stuff happening. I'm not involved with any of that yet.
Yeah.
Hope to be maybe at some point, but you know.
Uh,
Um, but I know they've got what is it? Following and Quattro coming soon. I think they're going to
yep.
start filming that pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's a good time to be in the DMV film community because a lot of cool stuff is coming together.
Oh yeah. Uh, I want to thank the man, the myth, the legend, the rock star, the all star. I want to thank you,
Dude,
Rick, Jermain.
pleasure is all mine. Thank you, man. I love doing these things. I love promoting, and getting the word out there. And because man, there's a lot of cool stuff happening in the indie, and people should, and not just horror. Like in all the genres, there's a lot of cool stuff, and people should experience it more. So
Oh yeah.
appreciate guys like you that get the word out there for us.
Hey, you can pretty much bank that if I'm gonna fanboy here for a minute. If you're in a movie, me and my wife are gonna watch
Cool,
it.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
I so real quick. Once I saw her name was Krista and MILFs vs Zombies, I was hooked. I was like, that's my dude right there. So
Those were your first two.
yeah,
Hey, did you see Brimstone Incorporated?
yes, I did.
That was fun. All the goo. We had
Yeah,
to do that a couple of times. It didn't work the first couple of times. So that was a fun day of shooting.
uh,
Um, yeah, that was a fun one to do.
uh, all right. I'm gonna thank you again, Rick, for coming on,
My pleasure, brother.
and everybody. Until next time, stay NC-17.